What's up, everybody? This is Miles Turner, the Indiana Pacers. You're listening to the Paceroos Podcast. Be sure to follow @Paceroos on Twitter.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Paceroos Podcast, the only Australian NBA podcast with a bias towards the Indiana Pacers. My name's Adam. I'm your host today, and it's been a newsworthy week in the lives of Pacers basketball, particularly since our last episode with Tony East. Justin, it kind of blew up in that Miami game.
Yeah, things got pretty hectic there. Obviously, Miami dominated the Pacers. It was kind of over before it began for Indiana. It was always going to be tough with no Malcolm Brogdon against Miami, who was so good defensively. But I didn't see that TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler fight escalate. You know, we don't want to delve into it too much. It was pretty interesting. Everyone's got their own personal opinion on it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it from both sides. Obviously, things got blown out of proportion, I think, a bit. But it's good. All I'm going to say is I hope we play Miami in the playoffs because, boy, what a series that would be.
Alex, you've been super active on social media about this particular issue. You've taken a pretty strong stance against Jimmy Butler, so now's the time, mate. You've got the floor is yours. Back to Jimmy Butler. Go on.
No, I'll tell you what. I'm very lucky we didn't record this right after that game because I probably would have been going on about a half an hour rant. But you guys know, Justin, I let you know I'm pretty strong towards Jimmy Butler. I don't like him. I think it's all an act at the end of the day, but. You know what? It's two competitors going at it. That's what TJ Warren said in the interview. I thought that was pretty classy. You know, he just put it aside. It's just two guys going at it. And I think it just should have been a Cohen foul. At the end of the day, it should have just been a foul. Should have just been side out. Jimmy Butler got a little bit in his feelings, but that's all right. He's an ultra competitor, so I respect it at the end of the day. And hopefully we get him back. I'm telling you what, though, a playoff series between those two, how good would that be? And I would definitely be tempted to go over there. I don't know about you guys, but I'd be tempted to go over there and watch that if that was a 7-game series.
Did you see Dwayne Wade's tweet?
Yeah, the rivalry back at it, even though he left out the part of the GIF where he cried to the ref and got Lance ejected.
I was at that game.
Really?
I've only ever been to 2 games in Bankers Life Fieldhouse, but I went to that one that was on my honeymoon. Thanks to my wife for letting us go to Indianapolis. We actually had to drive from Chicago to Indianapolis. And quick side note, maybe don't go into a Southside Chicago McDonald's with full Pacers gear on. It's not a good idea, especially when there's about 40 people in the restaurant and they've all got Bulls gear on. I'm lucky I made it out of there at all. But yeah, it was an insane game. It was a crazy atmosphere. Obviously, the height of the Heat Pacers rivalry, and Lance got ejected, but we won by I think a point in that game. So it was crazy to see Dwayne Wade reference that and remember what it was like being in that building and on that day. But it's funny that I've only ever been to 2 games, and that happens to be one of them. Just my luck, hey. But look, great rivalry between the two teams. It's nice to see it come back. It hasn't really been there since the Eastern Conference Finals from a few years ago. It's sort of dissipated, especially with LeBron changing teams. But it's definitely been reignited by Jimmy Butler and TJ Warren and. Former Pacer Jalen Rose made a fantastic point on ESPN's Get Up during the week, and that is that Jimmy won't have to worry about TJ Warren next time they play. He'll have to worry about Victor Oladipo, which is a whole different ball game for Jimmy. So TJ Warren, not a guy that's been known as an incredible defender. We said, throughout the season how well he's adapted to the Indiana Pacers style of putting defense first, but ultimately Jimmy's going to have to deal with Victor, and Victor is a whole nother level of defender with all due respect to TJ Warren. So very much looking forward to, I think, March 20th, which is the next time these two teams face off, because Vic would have had 2 months in a Pacers uniform again at that point, and hoping that he's obviously back to somewhere resembling full strength, and the team's back to full strength as well, because if we've got a starting backcourt in, then it's going to be a hell of a game between those two teams. Justin, you obviously spent a fair bit of time in Indiana over the course of the Heat Pacers rivalry. What are you glad to see that back? Is that a rivalry that you've always coveted, or was it more about LeBron?
Oh no, it was a really good question actually. There's nothing better for me in the prime of the NBA in my lifetime and teenage years being in Indiana, and then that Miami Heat Indiana Pacers rivalry. Obviously the main thing was LeBron, but I hated Dwayne Wade more than I did LeBron. And, even Udonis Haslem and David West, when those two would battle, like, man, it was good. I got a mate who's a Miami fan. It was just all on. And I love it. I want to see it back. I want to see TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler rivalry. Oladipo's going to come in. And then we got, Sabonis against Bam. Let's hope that rivalry sparks again. It's good for the NBA because there's no real... Probably take out Clippers and the Lakers. I don't think there's any main rivalry in the NBA right now.
Maybe like Philly-Boston.
Philly-Boston, yeah. But, I mean, they played each other last week and there was no zazz to it. It was just a normal game with Kemba. It's a whole new team. So, I'd love that Pacers-Miami rivalry to kickstart again. I mean, like we said, Wade's tweeting about it, so he obviously wants to see it. And look, the way the seedings and standings are going, it could well and truly be a 3 versus 6 seed.
Yeah, or alternatively, it could be a second round series. I mean, you never know how the schedule is going to shake out. But if both these teams make it past one series, then chances are they'll have a chance to play each other. But as you said, there's a chance also that they play each other in the first round. Regardless of which round it is, it's going to be incredibly entertaining. I hope both teams are fully healthy. Don't want to see any injuries for Miami. Don't want to see obviously any more injuries for the Pacers because I think it would be a hell of a matchup. I think that a fully fit Pacers, obviously I'm biased, have the edge over a fully fit Heat. The Heat potentially might make a move, particularly given they've got some really good young talent. They could get another veteran or another all-star in, which would probably flip things in their favor, but depending on what they gave up. But at the moment, I would say that a full strength Indianapolis team beats a fully strength Miami team. Alex, do you agree?
Yeah, I would have to agree with you there. Again, obviously, we're incredibly biased. I'm not gonna lie to you there, but I think that unless Miami, like you said, make a move, I know they've been linked to a lot of point guards. I think they were even linked to Chris Paul earlier in the year. So, they've got... I think the problem with Miami is they're playing well right now, yes, in the regular season, but they've got so many guys that just don't have playoff experience. Most of their guys are either rookies. You look at Hero and Nunn, probably two of their top 4 or 5 players this season. They don't have any playoff experience at all, and that goes for most of their roster. So I think the Pacers have the edge with Brogdon going to the conference finals and Oladipo having playoff experience as well.
Yeah, it seems to be in the playoffs at the pointy end when those young players are under a lot more pressure. It'll probably be a case of stop Jimmy, stop Miami, because he'll obviously be the go-to guy. Goran Dragic can do some stuff off the bench. He's had some good playoff series. But overall, Jimmy's obviously going to be the key to their success. It'll be interesting to see if they make a run at anyone else. But just back to the game, disappointing loss. Obviously, a short-handed Pacers side, so we'll take it with a bit of a grain of salt. Aaron Holiday struggled big time and was moved to the bench against Chicago, which probably was the best thing for him and the best thing for the team, getting TJ McConnell in that starting lineup. And Justin, we've talked about it all year. I think. Your start of the season assessment of Aaron Holiday sort of looking for his own shot as opposed to getting people involved, that sort of creeped back in a little bit, and he benefited from the change in the Chicago game, as did the team with TJ McConnell heading into the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think you worded it perfectly there, Adam. It did start to creep back into his game, which is a bit concerning, and I'm not here to pop shots on Aaron Holiday again. He was terrific a few weeks ago. That game against Toronto, he basically won us single-handedly with Miles Turner. But yeah, he's in a rough spot right now. We all know it. I have no confidence in his shot again, which is upsetting, coming from someone who's been a bit tough on him. And then I've slowly gone to trust him, probably like Nate McMillan. And then the last few games, I've now lost trust in him, where I don't think he's going to make the right read, the right shot, the right pass. So another great thing by Nate McMillan inserting TJ McConnell into that starting lineup. Aaron Holiday is probably the better player, but to me, Aaron Holiday is a bench player. I don't think he's a starting caliber point guard in this league. Him to be that sixth man, guys thrive off that. Why can't you carve out a career like Lou Williams? That's what, in my mind, he should be progressing towards.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I was actually just thinking Lou Williams as a comp for what he could be if he puts his mind to it and continues to progress at the same rate that he has. I mean, he's clearly able to make shots. He's able to get other teammates involved, but primarily he's able to create offense, sometimes out of nothing, and slither into the paint, put up layups. He tends to take more shots than anyone else on the floor during the time that he is on the floor. But that's because he's obviously really confident. So he's started over the last few months, as we've said, to get more teammates involved, which is this part of his game that he's really got to develop if he has aspirations of being a regular starter in the NBA. But I do wonder, though, that when we get Victor back and when we get that bench unit with Jeremy Lamb as the leading scorer, can you have Jeremy Lamb and Aaron Holiday playing, in that backcourt off the bench, given that they both want to shoot the ball? Do you need TJ McConnell and Jeremy Lamb to be your backup backcourt? I mean, it's an interesting conversation, Alex, and I'm interested in your thoughts on, what's the optimum bench backcourt for the Pacers?
Yeah, first of all, it's a great problem to have, especially if you Nate McMillan. You'd rather have more guys to choose from than too little. But yeah, it's a great question. I think obviously Jeremy Lamb you have to have in there, I think. But even if you play him at the 3, you can still play McConnell and Holiday. I think the only person that's going to lose out the most is unfortunately Sumner, who I think's played well. He had 10, 5, and 4 against the Bulls. He had a couple of big time threes in the fourth, but I think he's probably the least productive out of those 4 or 5 guards we have. And I think, unfortunately for him, because he was starting earlier in the year, and then he got that injury. But yeah, I think now he's going to be out of the rotation once Oladipo comes back. And, oh man, you guys know I love Justin Holiday. I think he has to be on the lineup. McDermott's playing too well, so maybe Goga gets cut and you play ultra small. You might go with a lineup of McConnell, Holiday, Lamb, and then Justin and Doug. I really don't know. I think it's a good problem to have, but yeah, you're right. I think, I think unfortunately Sumner gets cut, and then maybe I think McConnell's going to lose a lot of minutes as well, unfortunately.
Justin, is Doug McDermott the most important bench player for the Pacers right now?
Yeah, I'd say so. He comes in, like, the difference. I'd love to know the actual breakdown of stats of games maybe he scores double digits and Pacers win, or games where he maybe shoots below 30%. I'd say would go into a Pacers loss, because it seems like every time they win, Doug McDermott's shooting well from the field. He might score 12 or 14 points, and he really energizes that late third, start of the fourth period. He's been terrific at making cuts this year. That's what I've noticed. It's not just been the 3-pointers. He drives hard to the ring, something I just didn't see last year from him. So yeah, he's been terrific, along with Justin Holiday, obviously coming off the bench. He hit a big 3 against Chicago the other night. So yeah, big shout out to Justin Holiday as well. But yeah, that bench unit is better than I thought it would be at the start of the year, which is fantastic. And yeah, I mean, we haven't even mentioned it yet. The news Oladipo is coming back. Was it the
29th of
January against the Bulls?
29th against the Bulls. So that's the major news. I'm sure we all woke up happy seeing that. And then that's like, let's get the season started. Like, question for you guys, because I was thinking about it the other day. Is anyone getting a bit concerned about Brogdon's injuries?
I mean, I think the thing for me is that as long as he's healthy come playoff time, I really don't care how many games he misses in the regular season. I'm going to be honest with you, but obviously you'd love to have him healthy. And I think now, what is it, strep throat or something? I think it's just more unlucky than anything. Hopefully, after All-Star break, I think maybe even rest him. I mean, we have a reasonably easy schedule after this West Coast trip, so maybe you don't want to push him too hard and then rest him, bring him back healthy after.
I got to disagree there. I reckon we got to fight for home court. Like,
we're not going to get it though.
Well, we're going to die trying. Like, we're not good enough to just limp into the playoffs and be like, oh, we'll turn it on come playoff time. I think the likes of Lakers and Clippers can do that, but Pacers, we need to fight for home court. We got swept last year. If we had home court, I don't think we would have got swept. And yeah, with integrating Oladipo into the lineup with Brogdon, Sabonis, Turner, those guys need as much minutes on the court as possible before playoffs. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think home court is vital in the East this season, probably more than a lot of us in the past. I mean, you've seen how tight it is among the top 6 seeds. I mean, if you look at, I think there's only 3.5 games between 2nd and 6th right now where the Pacers are. So we have an opportunity to be able to not just get home court, but potentially, sneak into a 3rd seed and get home court in potentially a second round series as well. and it's an opportunity that you have to take. I mean, the 2-7 and the 1-8 series in the first round are probably going to be pretty academic, but the 3-6 and the 4-5 are going to be hard fought. You're going to have, two of, Boston, Indianapolis, Miami, Toronto, or Philly in there playing, and all of those teams. It's a little bit of a weird situations where some teams would be hoping they play certain other teams. I know that Indy probably wouldn't want to play a fully fit Philadelphia. However, they'd probably like their chances a little bit more against a fully fit Toronto or a fully fit Boston, in my view. But it's going to be so important to kick off things at home and to make a statement and set the tone for the series. So I think you have to go all out. I'm a little concerned at the amount of time Malcolm Brogdon's missed. As you say, though, Alex, it is kind of a bevy of different things. It's not as if it's, ongoing foot problems or ongoing back problems or a common thread throughout or ongoing knee problems. But it's been a few different ailments that have cost him a bit of time. However, I've got full faith in the guy's ability to be able to prepare and get his body right. He's clearly an extreme professional, and I've got no doubt that he's doing everything he can to get back into it. I think if we start to see more back spasms or we start to see knee soreness or something like that, I'll probably be a lot more concerned. But at this point, I think it's just been a little bit of bad luck to this stage for Malcolm Brogdon, and it hasn't cost the Pacers too dearly. We've seen in probably more recent times, I think the Pacers have lost 5 of 7 or 6 of 8 more recently. So it's probably hurt us more in this new year. However, overall, we've still been able to outperform expectation in Vic's absence, but the sooner he gets back, the better. Just on that Chicago game, obviously a good win, despite Zach LaVine, being a man on fire throughout the game and hitting a bunch of threes. It gives us great pleasure, I know, guys, to talk about how good Miles Turner looked and how confident he was in his shot, attacking the basket. He was doing everything, getting rebounds, blocking shots as he does. But rebound total was obviously really impressive for him with 14. Points with 27 was really impressive as well, and showed flashes of what he can do if given the shot attempts and given the keys to the offense, which has to excite Pacers fans. And I'd like to see him given a little bit more of that opportunity with the bench unit, given that he's had such success against the Bulls. Alex, we've been following Miles Turner's progress specifically throughout this season as he does our intro, but how good was it to see him on fire?
Yeah, it was an absolute joy. I don't think it brings me more joy seeing anyone succeed than Miles. Obviously, you guys know he's sharing some of my work. I've done some work for him as well, and he's such a nice guy. He helped us out with Australia and he donated everything. So I just want to give a quick mention. I think people don't always realize that the sacrifice this guy's made this season. I think people have to remember that he's playing an all-new position on offense. He has an all-new role. His usage rate is at a career low, not just the lowest it's been since his rookie season. It's at a career low. His shot attempts are at a low since the lowest have been, I think, since his rookie season. He's only attempting like 9 or 10 field goals a game. So it was good to see him get out there. I know he made that joke. I don't know if you guys saw that post press conference. He made that joke about the good old days. Yeah. I think Pacers Twitter probably took that a bit the wrong way a little bit, but yeah, I'm excited for Miles. I hope that he can get more shot attempts. Maybe Nate, sees this game and gives him more, but Domas coming in probably hurts that a little bit, I'd say.
Alex, you mentioned that, and I'm just going to steal a tweet from Naptown Basketball I read today, and it's a great stat, whether he's found it himself, but essentially Miles Turner, he's played 311 games. In 49 games, he shot 14 or more shots, right? And in those games where he shot 14 or more shots, he averages 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 32 minutes. Now, that's all-star numbers, right? 20, 10, and 3 on a good team. That's all-star numbers. So, like you both mentioned, it's all about him getting the opportunity, and he's not going to get that with Brogdon, Oladipo, and Sabonis on the floor. There's just not enough. There's only one basketball on the court, right? So people who are bashing Miles with a box score bandits, we call them, they've got to understand when he is utilized, he actually succeeds and he shoots very high. And we were messaging each other throughout that Chicago game, and we said, wow, look how good Miles looks, because he's got that confidence. He stepped on that floor going, I'm the best player on this team. Everything can go through me. And, he nearly scored 30 points.
It's an interesting point you make about his shot attempts and his rebounds total being higher when his shot attempts get up there. And it reminds me a little bit of, I think it was a story from Chauncey Billups on that 2004 Pistons team, where at the start of every single game, they would run a play for Ben Wallace. They would always get Ben Wallace the ball first possession of the first quarter, because they wanted to get his confidence and get his rhythm. And ultimately that would give him the confidence and rhythm to be able to play the rest of the game, get more rebounds, get more blocks, etc. And I wonder if it's incumbent upon the Pacers to recognize that Miles plays in that way, and that he is very confidence based, and he is affected massively by the amount of confidence that he has in himself, but also his perception of the confidence that the team has in him. So is it incumbent upon the team to get him involved early, much like they run a play for Doug McDermott at the start of the fourth quarter that we've talked about for much of the season? And Alex, you always reference, is it incumbent upon the team to run, maybe 2 out of the first 4 plays or 3 out of the first 6 plays for Miles Turner in the first quarter? And Alex, would that get him going to the point where these confidence issues dissipate?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go that far, but I think it's definitely a great point to make. And I don't know if you guys remember, but that Cavaliers team with the LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love, they would run probably their first 6 or 7 plays for Kevin Love almost every game. And he's similar to Miles. He's a guy that almost, not 100%, but a lot of the time runs a lot on confidence. So I think you saw he got, his first 3 or 4 field goals he made, and after that it was all rhythm. He shot everything with confidence. He stepped into his jumpers. He was posting up. He was grabbing rebounds that, we haven't really seen him grab this year. So I think it's definitely a great point. Mate, you probably don't have to run that much through him. Just give him a couple post-ups early on, and then maybe go back to him again late in the quarter when Domas is out. I think it's huge for his confidence, yeah.
Just puts a bit of spring in your step. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna steal a line from Bill Simmons here. We've all played basketball, guys, and you know that if you hit a shot early in a game, it puts a little bit of extra spring in your step. You may not fight any harder, but you may just have that little bit more confidence in going for a rebound, or that little bit of confidence going for a loose ball, and it can really positively affect a guy that is bases a lot of their production on how confident they are. And some players don't need it. You look at a guy like Aaron Holiday, he's going to shoot anyway. He's going to look for his shot regardless, because he knows that his opportunities are fairly limited. He knows that he's got to make the most of his minutes. And if he misses his first 8 shots, like it or not, he's going to take a 9th shot. So, Miles is not like that. Miles is a guy that needs to get into the offense. He needs to feel comfortable. He needs to feel confident. And he needs to feel, that his teammates have confidence in him. That's clear from the stats, and clear from the eye test as well. So, Justin, do you think, I'll put it to you, do you think that it's incumbent upon the team to focus on getting Miles involved earlier? And also, I'll add to that, is incumbent upon the team to try and get him minutes where he's the focal point of the offense with that bench unit?
It's a great question. I actually think Nate McMillan has done that. I think, after Miles Turner said he had a chat with Nate and aired some things out, he's obviously played a lot better after that. And I think the rotation's changed a bit, right? You see Miles Turner, instead of getting subbed out at the 6 to 5 minute mark, if he's not in foul trouble, he'll nearly play that whole first quarter. Sabonis will be the one going to the bench about the 6 minute mark, and usually then Turner stays on to about the 1 or 2 minute mark, and then Sabonis comes on for the last 2 minutes. So I think that is Nate trying to make Miles more of a focal point. I know TJ McConnell and Miles have a great 2-man game. They speak on the bench. If you heard Miles wide in the microphone, TJ literally always says, I always look for you. I feel so bad when I don't pass you the ball, which is fantastic at TJ. But I think everyone wants him to succeed. And, in the last few weeks, I couldn't be more proud of Miles. He's obviously gone through some stuff off the court and maybe mentally had a few challenges, but he's rose to the occasion. He essentially got us that win against Chicago. You could even say against Toronto as well. I don't know how he only ended up with 2 blocks the other game. I feel like he got 5. But
it's almost like that every night, isn't it?
Yeah, like you look at the box score as the Bandits do, and you see 2 blocks. But I guess it's how many shot he alters, kind of like Roy Hibbert.
He changes so many shots. He changes the whole the offense of the opposing team, doesn't he?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's very exciting times, and like we've all mentioned all year, I'm just so excited for Oladipo to get in that starting lineup, because then we've essentially got, I think, 4 potential All-Stars in that starting lineup.
Speaking of exciting times, we've got a week of 3 games coming up. Firstly, we've got our 3rd game of the season against the Philadelphia 76ers, and obviously they're missing Joel Embiid. We showed on New Year's Eve, American time, how good we can play against a Philadelphia team without Joel Embiid, and fingers crossed we can replicate a performance that's close to that. We dominated Philadelphia last time we played them. It's obviously become a little bit more Ben Simmons centric in Philly lately, and Philly is obviously, I think they beat Boston yesterday, so they've been playing some decent ball. Alex, how do you see the Philly game playing out? And do you see, obviously, the loss of Joel Embiid? Can we replicate the last time we played Philly, or will Philly be out for blood this time?
Well, I was literally just about to say, if you can give me a copy of Pace and what we saw January 1st, I would be ecstatic. But I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think, like you said, they're probably going to come back. They don't want to lose to the same team twice in a row, especially one they could meet in the playoffs. But that Joel Embiid finger, if you guys saw that was absolutely disgusting. I could not believe how bad it was. I thought it was broken for sure. I think it was only dislocated, but that's a big loss for Philly. And I just want to bring out the next 3 games we play are all against Jimmy Butler's former team. So after the beat, we played all 3 of his former teams, actually, if you include Chicago as well. I just thought that was worth noting. But I think for Philly, it's about stopping Ben Simmons and limiting the perimeter shots they get, and we should be able to come out with the W.
I'm just quickly there. I'm off Philly. I know we mentioned
even when healthy, or
even when healthy. I know we mentioned at the start of the year, like, we didn't know if they were better or worse. Obviously, they gave up Butler, got Horford. They're very big. I'm off them. I've watched a lot of them lately, and they may even beat the Pacers on Tuesday Australia time. But I just think going deep in the playoffs, that team needs to make a move. They're too big. They're too slow. Like, they don't have enough shooters on the team. Their bench is horrendous. We talked about Adam as well. Like the pairing with Embiid and Horford, they looked better without. They should never
have signed him. They should never have signed Al Horford.
It just made no sense. Like, the Philly team, Embiid's their best player by far. He's an all-star. He's a great player. I love him. But with the Embiid out, they actually spread the floor a bit better with Horford. He had better spacing. But I'm off him. I don't think they're going to come close to beating Milwaukee.
Look, you guys, I've told you this hot take, but my opinion of Philadelphia is that they can't win with both Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid as their 2 best players. They need to pick one, and they need to play to that player's strengths. So whether it be they need to pick Joel Embiid and trade Ben Simmons and put shooters around Embiid, or whether they need to pick Ben Simmons and trade Joel Embiid and put shooters around Simmons. But I don't think you're going to win with those 2 players on the floor at the same time with only 3 other shooters. I think the space that either of those 2 players requires to be able to do what they need to do is such that they won't complement each other, and they haven't complemented each other so far. So I'm of the view that you need to pick one, and I am biased because I'm Australian, but I would pick Ben Simmons. He's less injury prone. I think he's an incredible defender. It's a lot easier to get those rebounders, shot blockers to put around him as a big man that can potentially stretch the floor a little bit. Big men have started shooting threes left, right, and center. So I think the ability to be able to find a guy to put beside Ben Simmons is easy. And I would trade Joel Embiid for Karl Anthony Towns.
Ooh, the hot take coming out on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't often bring about hot takes, but I think Karl Anthony Towns on Philadelphia in Joel Embiid's spot. I think his ability to stretch the floor and hit threes. I mean, he's averaging 3.5 threes a game, 3-pointers made. I think it would be the best of both worlds for both teams.
Hold on, Adam. Have you ran this through the ESPN trade machine and posted on Twitter yet?
No, I have not. No, I haven't. I did tweet it. I did say who says no. and as usual, I got 0 responses because it's a random tweet. But I'm very much on the side of I think Joel Embiid for Karl Anthony Towns in a swap would benefit both teams greatly. I think Joel Embiid needs his own team. Ben Simmons needs his own team, and I think Karl Anthony Towns would be a perfect complement to Ben Simmons. And I think Philly would be automatically the best team in the East if they made that trade.
You know what trade I was thinking of, Adam, actually? I'll put this out as well since you're putting trades out. I was actually thinking a swap for Ben Simmons and D'Angelo Russell. Send Ben Simmons to Golden State, let him play with a bunch of shooters, and send D'Angelo to Philly. What about that one?
Yeah, I saw that online. I think Ben Simmons is a hell of a lot better player than D'Lo, but
I think in terms of fit, though.
In terms of fit, hell yeah. Like maybe Golden State are going to have a top 5 pick. Maybe they package that, and then you look at how good would that be for Golden State. You've got Steph, Clay, then you got Ben Simmons. There's a spacing. He's a good passer, and then on the flip side, Philly, you have D'Lo. You got a shooter. You got a clutch player to go along with Embiid. To me, I think that trade makes sense. I think Philly would want something more than just Russell, but that's interesting, man. Like I would love to be in a flywall of the GM's office if Elton Brand offered that trade to Golden State.
I think that would be a crazy trade for Philly to make. I think that Ben Simmons is so far better than D'Angelo Russell that you would need something significant.
Wouldn't do it with the number 1 pick?
With this, if they got a top 3 pick this year and it was Russell and the top 3 pick for Ben Simmons, then potentially. But I still think it's a crazy trade for Philly to make because ultimately, they're getting D'Angelo Russell, but they're once again getting another 18, 19-year-old kid potentially. And their current makeup is that they've probably got 3 to 4, seasons of potentially, hopefully, a healthy Joel Embiid. I mean, don't even get me started on his durability, but they've got to capitalize on that now. They've got Horford, who's an older guy. They've got Harris, who's locked in for the next 4 or 5 years. So, you've got your core players are in their primes. Your core players are either entering their primes or in their primes, and they really have to go all in over the next 3 to 4 years to try and win it. Interesting stat that I got texted to me by Brent. Shouts to Brent this morning. Simmons' most defended players this season are Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Pascal Siakam, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those players have combined to score 50 points on 19 for 59 shooting when guarded by Simmons. So 50 points on 59 field goal attempts. You're not going to get too much better in terms of elite defenders than Ben Simmons.
Defensive player of the year, question mark? Defensive player of the year?
There's an argument to be made, I think.
Well, a bit different. Have you heard the rumblings that Kawhi is saying to people, tell LeBron to stop being scared and guard me?
That had to be rubbish. There's no way.
I don't know. LeBron never defends the best player on the other team. Never. Even Miami days, Cavs days.
You think Kawhi Leonard, who doesn't say anything to anyone, would actually say that? Like to the media or something. He
wouldn't have said it to the media. No way.
I just don't think he would have said it to anyone. I genuinely don't think Kawhi is that person. But it gets clicks.
It could be bullshit, but there could be a bit of fact to it. Like he's just never. Yeah, it's Stephen A. But shout outs to the Celebrity All-Star coach, eh?
I can't believe that Kawhi would say that, but it remains to be seen. I'm very much looking forward to that playoff series. Should we get it, the LA playoff series?
Let's hope that's the Western Conference Finals. Actually, I know we're going to wrap up soon, but really a big underrated news in the NBA is they might be reseeding the top 4 of the playoffs. What do you guys think about that? So you might not have Lakers Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. It may be Lakers Boston and then Clippers Pacers, let's just say.
Any outcome that leads to us playing LeBron in the playoffs again earlier than the finals, I am so against. I'm sick of seeing him in the playoffs. We just got rid of him. He's in the Western Conference now. He can stay there. And if he makes the finals and we are lucky enough to make the finals as well, so be it. But the only time I want to play LeBron from now on is in the finals.
Yes, I agree. But on a different point, maybe putting the Pacers out of it, I think it's great. I think what Adam Silver's trying to do is fantastic. Like you essentially want the 2 best teams in the finals, and maybe the last few years we haven't got that. Maybe the Western Conference Finals with Houston and Golden State were probably the NBA Finals in a sense. Take away last year, of course, but the few years previously. I think it'd be great for the NBA. I think those those conference finals, if you switch them up between the East and West, oh man, they would be so good to watch.
Especially with ratings down as well. I think it would be a good move for them.
Yeah, I got a quick opinion on that. I don't think ratings are down at all. I know the figures, but technically I haven't watched a single game this season because I don't watch it on NBA League Pass. So they don't know how to track how I watch. So many people have streams, different links they watch games on. Yeah, I don't think ratings are down. You look on Twitter, we all walk around Melbourne. How many NBA jerseys did you see? People
it's
love
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
People, everywhere you go.
Everywhere. NBA is nearly the most bloody popular sport outside the AFL in Melbourne. Like, do you see anyone walking around with NFL Guernseys talking about, Russell Wilson or Lamar Jackson? No, people are walking around with Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James. But NBA has jerseys as well. Yeah, NBA has not dipped, in my opinion. Anytime I see a ratings tweet, it fires me up because it's one of the most popular sports in the world.
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be made that the NBA and the English Premier League are the two top international sports in Australia, and from a supported point of view, I think the EPL remains probably number one. I would say, because just for the sheer number of people that follow international soccer. But the NBA is either first or second, depending on who you ask. It's unbelievable to see the amount of interest that the NBA has in Australia, and thus this podcast exists. But
how many I've seen in the last week, about 3 or 4 Pacer fans from Adelaide, my hometown, follow us. There's someone, if you're listening, whoever, I forgot your name, sorry, but you're a legend. You had a Pacers jersey with a photo of Mitch Creek as your profile picture.
I saw that. Yeah, Joel
Ali, that guy.
Yeah, what a legend. Like, there's just been so many Australia Pacer fans. Like, not, they're not Laker fans, they're not 76er fans. They are Pacer fans following our podcast, and it's truly amazed me.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of talk during the week as well about us potentially going over at some point, either separately or together. And I know that you guys have plans to potentially head over the next 12 months. Alex, you're eyeing off All-Star Weekend in Indianapolis. And for me, it's probably more of a Pacers-centric visit. I might go to Indy when we've got a 3 or 4 game homestand, I'm thinking. But it's going to be great to get over and potentially meet some of these fans that we interact with all the time on Twitter.
I think
it's amazing. I think
Kilroy's drinks. Everyone has to come. That's all I'm saying. Everyone's going to meet the Paceroos. I know Adam, Alex, and myself would be so willing to meet and talk to anyone, and grab a drink after the game. So
somebody's gonna have to get me a fake ID though, boys. Get me
I forgot.
Oh no!
They got to change the drinking age, mate. What are you doing in America? Honestly, Donald Trump or someone just change the age back to 18. You dogs.
They're so serious about it too. Like, you can't drink if you're under 21. Mate. I mean, our parents probably were buying us a beer when we were like 15 or something and bringing it home, being like, "Here you go, mate. Try this. You'll love it."
Exactly.
But it's drinking culture in Australia is totally different to drinking culture in America. We're far more blasé about it. But yeah, it's Alex. We might have to wait until your 21st birthday, mate. That might have to be our trip.
Somebody listening to this podcast, whip me up a fake ID and I'll be good to go, boys.
You're the designer, aren't you? Surely you can whip something up on Photoshop.
No, I'm not trying to get arrested, mate.
If you're listening, TSA, we have no plans to do any of this stuff. So it is only jokes. Okay. It's all parody. Yep. Finally, before we go, we've got a home and home with Minnesota. We're at Minnesota on the 16th of January versus Minnesota on the 18th, Australia time, that is. What do you see as the keys to beating Minnesota? I know that Karl Anthony Towns has been out. There's talk of him potentially coming back this week. So is stopping Cat the key for you, Justin?
Yeah, definitely. If he's back playing, I know he's questionable for the next few games, I think. But I watched Minnesota today against the Houston Rockets, and putting it lightly, they were just god-awful.
They looked terrible, yeah.
Defensively, there was an 80-point quarter in the third quarter. They gave up 45 to Houston in the third quarter. I know their whole lineup's out. Minnesota, to me, they're not even really fielding an NBA team without Karl Anthony Towns. Obviously, they got Jeff Teague. Andrew Wiggins has probably dropped off. He started the season hot, but look, there's no if, buts, or maybes. We need to go 2-0 against Minnesota. Yep. The Philly game's probably, hopefully win with no Embiid, but let's hope we get Brogdon back. Let's hope, Aaron Holiday plays better off the bench, and it's a potential 3-0 week, or, it could be a potential 1-2 week where we are all a bit disappointed.
Yeah, we've after the home and home, we've actually got arguably the worst road trip remaining in the season at the end of January. So next episode, you'll hear us preview that road trip. We'll go into detail on Denver, Utah, Phoenix, Golden State, and Portland, and we'll talk through the 3 games from this week. Justin, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I just want to say, big shout out to all our fans as well. We love the interaction on Twitter. Keep listening. We're going to keep providing you the best shows we can. As we've all mentioned, 2020 is going to be a big year. We've got a few things lined up. We're trying to lock in with a few Pacers celebrities, shall we say. So stay tuned. And, we love the feedback. We love all the DMs you guys are sending us. And, keep it up.
And Alex, it's going to be a massive 2020, as Justin said. Anything to wrap up this episode?
KP, if you're listening to this, get in those DMs and hit us up again. But in all seriousness, obviously, like Justin said, thank you to everyone that's listened. We almost have 600 followers on Twitter, and what do we have, like over 400 on Instagram? So, to have over 1,000 followers combined on both platforms is insane. We've been doing this for 21 episodes, I think. So, thank you to everyone that's tuned in and subscribed. And Eli Ratliff, this one dedicated to you, buddy.
Paceroos superfan Eli Ratliff shouts. I'll echo your sentiments. It's fantastic to hear and see so much interaction with Pacers fans on Twitter and Instagram and elsewhere. Great that we've got all of this support. It's been a fantastic first 4 or 5 months, and we'll only keep getting better. Also, take the opportunity to thank anyone of the Pacers fans that's had the opportunity to donate to the bushfire appeal in Australia. Obviously, things are probably going to get a little bit dicey again over the weekend with some hot weather coming up over the next few days, but we really appreciate anyone that's taken the time to donate, and we'll certainly be providing the link up on our website after this episode as well for anyone who would like to donate to the bushfire appeal. It's been a pretty crappy last month in Australia's history, and fingers crossed we can all get back on our feet and everyone affected can pick up and build again. But that'll wrap it up there for the Paceroos. We'll catch you next week prior to the Western Conference road trip, and thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.